Hey everybody, welcome to the 2020 Dreadnought Woodshop shop tour.
Wait, what? Did this guy just say 2020? It's 2023. Wow, 3 years ago. This is me 3 years ago. So you might be wondering what's going on right now. I can explain that pretty easily. So I'm in the process of building a new shop. We've now moved out of Florida. We live in South Carolina, and I'm building a new shop. And I thought that before I shared the build video of the new shop, you guys might want to take a stroll down memory lane and take a look at the previous shop, right? So somehow I managed to shoot this shoot this video and edit all the footage and stuff into a complete video on my computer, and I never posted it. How did that happen? I don't even know. But anyway, enjoy the 2020 shop tour, and be on the lookout for the build video of the new shop that just happened Christmas of 2022. So there you go. So on with the show.
I'm glad you're here to check everything out. I'm going to go around the shop and try to share with you, the tools and setups that I have here. I'm probably going to do this. I'm going to try to do this move through things pretty quickly. There's a lot of things out here to talk about. I may even actually do a couple of successive videos to talk about some other things like storage solutions and just little things that make my shop work and things that I think that maybe you might find useful. For those of you who don't know, I live in Central Florida, and my shop is in a 3-car garage that's attached to my house. And basically, this back area that I'm going to be talking about is the 1-car garage side, which it's kind of sectioned off from the rest of the shop. So that's where I keep my CNC and my dust collection, router table, planer, things like that. So without further ado, let's get going. We're going to start with my big drill press. This is a Nova Voyager DVR. This is a smart drill press. It doesn't have any belts. It runs super quiet. Lots of features. The main one that I really like is that this control panel up here has settings in it. You can tell it what style of bit and what size of bit, and it tells you exactly what size. It tells you exactly what speed to drill the hole at, and that's a real game changer because that's something that I've never paid really any attention to because it's a lot of numbers to remember. Anyway, lots of good things to say about this, but we got to move. Behind me, and right behind the drill press, is one of 3 clamp racks. And I know that this seems like a whole lot of Bessie clamps, Bessie and Jorgensen clamps. And this is one of the things that I've gotten a really good deal on here in the shop. I've been very fortunate to be able to have these. There was a guy who was closing out his shop, and I was able to pick up the majority of the Bessie clamps up here for just a couple of $100s, which was really great. There's 7 of these Jorgensen clamps down here at the bottom. These are the 24-inch models. All of my 50-inch clamps are on the second rack, but I bought these 7 and the 8 50-inch clamps and the Jorgensen clamps for $99, believe it or not, at my local Ace. This is my 1632 drum sander. I purchased this unit used. I've had it probably 8-9 years now. Paid a couple $100 for it. It's been great. I use it for doing segmented pieces, flattening rings. It's a real nice addition to the shop. Something that's real handy to have. Alright, while I'm down here in this area, I'm going to talk about a couple other things real quick. This is my miter saw. Why is it on the floor, you ask? Because it had to move because my miter bench used to be back here against the wall where the CNC now sits. So I don't really use it that much, and I'm trying to find a way to work it into the workflow here in the shop based upon the amount of time that I use it. So I like I said, I don't use it a lot, so I really can't justify a prominent position in the shop for it. And underneath here is a hot mess. There's all kinds of things under here. There's corded hand tools in their little blow mold cases, and toolboxes and all kinds of other things under here that I haven't found a place for. But there's lots of space under there, so I figured that was a good place to put things. So that's where they go. That's where we are right there. Moving right along, we come to my router table. I built this. This is a custom built cabinet. It's not complete yet. It still needs to have drawer fronts and doors and things like that added. And I also need to set up my paddle stop safety switch. This unit has a 3 1/4 spindle in there, and I'm using the Rockler Pro Lift system. Cap some of the features of the cabinet. I have these kind of drawers set up for the bits. I'm using these Rockler inserts. They're nice because you can put both 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch bits into the shaft bits, shank bits, into the holders. So that's real nice for organizing and all that. And basically the way this works is it's 3/4 inch MDF, 1/4 inch plywood, and I cut grooves in the side and wax it so that it, it slides nicely. And down here I have all my 1/2 inch bigger 1/2 inch bits down there in the bottom. In the 2 drawers, this top one I have accessories, guide bushings, collets, edge guides, things like that. All things associated with the router and the router table. And in the bottom drawer is where I keep the rest of my routers. Now, I have a little bit of a router problem, it looks like, because I have quite a few of them in there. But it's just that over the years, my needs have changed as the shop has grown, as my skill set's grown, and I've ended up accumulating quite a few. But it's nice having them in this drawer right here so that I keep all the router stuff together. Now, one interesting thing that's in here is this chestmate jig. It's a dovetail jig, and the nice thing about this is even in this small box, you can do a dovetail joint of any length. You make a custom template board, and this jig kind of slots into that, and you cut your joint and slide it over, and cut your joint, slide it over, cut your joint, and it allows you to do some really awesome things. You can do the custom pins and tails layouts where you have some wide pins and some narrow pins. It's very versatile. So this is the Rockler Pro Lift. Couple of things about it. One really cool thing is the way that you replace these inserts. And basically what these inserts do is they close up the space around the outside of your bit for dust collection purposes, and also to keep parts from falling down in there. And this is the coolest system yet that I've seen for changing these out. Some systems they thread out, some systems they have little screws that hold them in. This one has a push button. You push the button, it pops up. This handy kit that comes with 5 additional sizes, and if I need to change it out, I just pop it back in there, good to go. While we're over here in this area, this is the second of 3 wall-mounted lumber racks. This is where my mid-length materials go. This used to be for long storage until I got the mini split AC over there. Like I said, I live in Florida and it gets unbearably hot in here. So I had to install that, and that meant that I had to take some of the longer boards. I had to remove some of the longer boards from this rack and build another one on the other side of the shop. Finishing out this side of the shop is my 15-inch Grizzly planer. I can say that I'm very happy with this unit. I bought it secondhand. I actually bought it and my big bandsaw at the same time. I paid $1,000 for both of them, so it was a really good deal. Over here in the corner, you'll see my dust collection system. This is the Harbor Freight unit, and I basically added a super dust deputy, which really helped with efficiency, and it keeps the heavier chips and things from bouncing around in the impeller cage. And it does a good job of separating out the heavy stuff from the fine stuff. So I did have, I've had several different things to filter out the fine dust. I've had this filter pretty much the whole time. Originally I built a box that went underneath it, but I was getting air leaks all over the place. So, plus it took up a lot of space. So one day I went ahead and disassembled this entire impeller cage here, so that I could rotate it around because the output used to come straight out, which made this take up much more space. So I swung it around this way, and I cut a hole in the top of this filter, put a 4-inch adapter in there for the hose, and then I attach this plastic bag down here, and that does a really great job of taking care of a lot of the fine dust that used to escape my previous system. I've been super happy with it. And then I've also been using this Rockler expandable hose. I think it goes down to as short as 4 feet, but when you expand it, you can go out 28 feet, which allows me to take it almost all the way across the shop. Tucked back in the corner over here by the back door to the shop, you'll see rack number 2 of 3 clamp racks. This rack holds all of my long 50. These are my 50-inch parallel clamps. Like I said before, these Jorgensens are part of the set of clamps that I got for $99 from the local Ace Hardware store. And these Bessie clamps, I think I got a couple of them on clearance at Lowe's when they switched from Bessie to Irwin. And a couple of them came with the shop buyout that I did. Down below the clamp rack, I have storage here for my segmented stock. So basically anytime I have material left over, I rip a piece off or something, and it's about the right size for a segmented piece, I throw it in this bucket, right, in this trash can right here, and then that way when I want to do segmented pieces, I have plenty of material. So it's pretty evident that I probably need to get on with a couple of segmented pieces because this thing is full to the point of being almost out of control. So coming around the corner from the clamp rack, we land at the bandsaw. This is a 17-inch Grizzly unit. I'm very happy with it. It does a fabulous job. One of the things about this, one of the reasons that it does such a good job is the blades that I use on it. And I use blades from Highland Woodworking. The majority of the time I keep this 3/8 inch wood turner's blade on there. It does everything I need to do pretty much. I mean, you can cut a pretty tight curve with it, and it also will do an acceptable job at resawing. I also have a wood slicer, which is also a specialty blade from Highland Woodworker for resawing things. And that blade does a great job, but it's so wide that I can't do any curves with it. So that's why I use this one the majority of the time. And over here I have my gripper grip block. This really helps when resawing. It's got this nice little 90-degree bit here. So you can put it on the table, and it's got these grippy things, and you can help guide your work through the cut safely, keeping your fingers out of the danger zone. And I have my old Incra V27 miter gauge that I use over here at the bandsaw. Moving around the corner from the bandsaw, we have this little cabinet up here. This used to be a medicine cabinet in our previous house. We needed the extra storage. In this house, we don't really need it, so I've relegated it to service out here in the shop. And what I keep in there is I keep some supplies for doing segmenting. Like I have a jar of rubber bands in there, and I have a couple of I have links of dowels and things that I use for gluing segments together. I also have some hardware in there. It's kind of a holdover from a previous organizational system that I used for hardware. I'm currently transitioning all the hardware into another storage situation, but for now, that's where it lives. In the corner back here, I have the Dust Deputy set up for dust collection on these two devices. This will go away once I get the plumbing done with the bigger dust collection in the corner over there. This is my 12-inch disc sander from Harbor Freight. It's a great unit. I know a lot of Harbor Freight things aren't that great, but this one works out really nice. And I bought that used from a good friend, and it has served me very well. Next to it, I have my rigid oscillating belt spindle combo sander. Lots of people have this. Most of them will attest to the fact that it works very nicely. This is my charging station. I think I actually did a video on how to make this. It's very simple. This isn't anything that anybody's going to write home about or take art pictures of, but it does do the job. It holds all my chargers up here, and so that they're all conveniently located so that I can charge my batteries for my tools. Below the sanders, I have a cabinet over here. This cabinet is actually it's half of my previous outfeed table. I no longer needed it. I could use an outfeed table that was 7 foot by 4 foot, but it took up too much room. Things in like I said, the shop is ever evolving, just like anybody else's shop, and I have better uses for the space. So instead of throwing it away, I cut it in half because it had 8 good sized drawers in it and these big storage areas. So this is half of it, the other half's on the other side. So 3 of these open compartments I use for offcuts. These are things that are 3 feet and less. In these drawers I have a variety of things. I think this top drawer is ending up to be kind of a junk drawer. I have a couple of instruction manuals and things in here, and like a chalk line, which is pretty random. In here I have, some of my better mechanical pencils. I think I'm down to just one. Some plans, but the most important thing in here are some of my measuring devices, like my French curves, my circle templates, and angle finders, label maker, sorted things in there. And this drawer is where I keep all of my electrical stuff. I have a couple of these outlets with the USB built into them, a couple of smart switches for the house, things like that. I probably need to find a new spot for these. You'd make better use of this drawer, but that's where we're at right now. And down here in this bottom drawer, probably need to put drawer faces and handles on these things too. I have a Dremel, angle grinder, and discs and things down here. Just really need to come up with a better storage for that. Now over there I have a number of these Husky storage bins. They're nice. They have little trays inside them, little bins inside them, so you can take out what you need and take it wherever you gotta go. This one holds the sandpaper from my power sander over at the lathe, and the rest of them hold hardware, stuff like that. Alright, moving further along the bench here, I have my little 1-inch strip sander. It also has a very small disc sander on the end from Rikon. I use this for shaping and assorted other tasks. I don't use it a lot, but when I need it, it really helps out. Up above it, I have some of these strap clamps from Bessie. It's just on a real simple holder. This thing has been moved around the shop I don't know how many times, but that's where it's landed right now. And over here, I have a little rack to hold my pneumatic nailers and all of my associated air compressor type fittings and tire pressure gauges and fillers and all that. And right here between the fridge and the cabinet, these are my Festool track saw tracks. I have the 75-inch unit and the 55-inch unit. If you're gonna buy a track saw and you're gonna have 2 tracks, this is the way. Because a lot of times I found that I just needed to cut something that was maybe just a couple inches longer than 4 feet, or maybe 5 foot, or even 6 foot. And I used to have 2 55-inch tracks, and putting both of those together, it was a nightmare because the thing was long and it was hard to handle. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to get 2, these are the 2. Up top you'll see the third and final wall-mounted lumber rack. This is where I put all the longer materials in the shop. This is a design that's based roughly off of Jay Bates' design, made with 2x4s and conduit. It holds an incredible amount of weight, and it was really easy to build. Highly recommend it. This is the shop fridge. Although I don't drink beer or anything like that, I do keep water and things in here, and this is overflow for, we make barbecue and I make a lot of food, so I'll put it out here so that we're not overflowing the fridge in the house. And up here I have my Harbor Freight HVLP. It works good. If you need an HVLP system and short on cash, this is a good opportunity. This is a good option here. I have a couple other things up here, Rockler corner routing templates, and my Bench Cookie Plus master kit thing, just random things that I've thrown up there that I haven't found a spot for yet. Up top here I have an iron for edge banding, some clamp blocks from Bessie, and this is my Earlex HVLP up here. That's that's my go-to. I've had that a long time. It works really well. It's got a nice substantial gun made out of metal which is very nice. Below that we have my, this is my consumables cabinet, and this is where I keep all my finishes and epoxies and all that. Alright, so now we're on the other side, pretty much on the other side of the shop. This is my workbench. It's a work in progress at the moment. I haven't gotten it completed yet, but this is based off the Samurai Carpenter's work. Samurai Carpenter, I think it is. It's his design. My friend Mike Capazzi and I have been working on a pair of these benches for a number of years now. One day we're going to get this done. The main things that need to be done now are I need to finish the tool tray that goes between the two sections of the top, and flatten the top, and get the vise hardware on there, and a couple other little things, and it'll be good to go. Now this stuff on the floor is more stuff I need to get out of here. Some things that I need to sell, and these are some computers I need to donate. Just stuff. And I bet you're wondering about this really cool telescope. This belongs to my buddy. I'm going to be rehabbing that for him. Over here on top of my water heater, I have my tape measures here, and I have a couple of things back here that haven't been, I don't know, I just keep them around for nostalgia's sake. This is the first time I attempted a snowman. This is, I don't know if this is mine or not, but my club, we have challenges every once in a while, and the challenge was you had 5 minutes to turn an egg shape. So most people left it here. They didn't really want it, but I leave those up there. And then these are some leg prototypes that I had to make, leg extensions for a table, and I had to make 4 of them match, and these are just the templates that I made to get approval from the customer. Over here I have my, these are finials that didn't quite make the cut. Some of them are broken in one way or another, but most of them are just there because I really like the shape. It's something that I may try again at a later date, and so I just keep it up there for inspiration and reflection. This is my consumables cabinet. This is where I keep all of my CA supplies. I use a lot of CA in my work. Particulates for inlays. Got some brass shavings here. Some ebony shavings and turquoise inlays and different things in these little containers that I use for doing inlays in voids and inclusions and things like that as I'm wood turning. Up at the top I have some colored pencil material. I have some Pearl X colorants, milk paints, etc., etc. Trans-tint dyes, Alumilite dyes, all that stuff is in there. And then on top of the cabinet I have some bowl blanks and turning stock. I have a lot of that stuff floating around, so I have to find places to put them where nothing else is there. So below that cabinet I have this standing desk. At one point I felt like I could use a standing desk in the shop for my laptop and things, but it just never worked out. So it just became this catch-all in this corner here. And underneath I have this little cabinet that I made for organizing small pieces of scrap, and it's full of stuff, full of scrap. Got a couple boxes of pen blanks, my pressure pot for casting, my fire extinguisher, and various other bits and pieces of things live down there. Okay. All right, as we move into the turning section, I'm going to start with my Nova Orion DVR lathe. This is a very nice piece of equipment. I love the DVR system. With the DVR system, it has no belts that run the spindle, and you have the full range of speed and torque available across the entire range of speeds, which is nice. I also have an outrigger attachment here, so I can do the head swivels, and I can turn it out, and I can do up to a 29-inch bolt if I wanted to do that. So underneath it I have a shelf that holds, I have put the shelf down here, and I hold all my tool rests and things like that, and that's where I'm storing those things. As we move in closer, you can see that I have my overflow turning tools over here. These are ones that I don't use every day, but I do use them pretty regular, so I have them out where I can have access to them. So this is my unfinished hand tool cabinet. This one holds all my hand planes and associated hand tool items. This area right here holds all my hand planes. This back plate is on a 10-degree angle, and these holders have a little pocket at the top that holds the nose of the nose of the plane, and you just slide it in and drop it down. And with that 10-degree angle, there's just enough gravity there to keep my planes there without any magnets or anything like that. This is my branding iron from Gearhart Industries. If you need one of those, they're great folks to work with. I have several items in here from other makers online. This is a chisel hammer made by Dima Gayanov. I hope I pronounced that right, from Dima's workshop. And I have a very nice custom-made dovetail saw from Brian Knoll from Bearcat Woodworks here, or from Bearcat Wood. He makes custom saws and very beautiful chairs and things. If you haven't checked Brian out, you should do that. Below the hand tool area, I have this area down here, which is supposed to have compartments and little drawers and things. It's just another thing that I haven't got to yet. That seems to be a theme around here. But there will be some drawers and other organization here, as well as some doors to hold all my squares and saw till or something to hold my Japanese saws. This really isn't an ideal way to store things, but you know, this is where things are right now. On the other side, behind this little cabinet here, is where I keep all of my bench chisels. So I have these Aldi units up here. They're very cheap, and Paul Sellers swears by them, and they work really well. They hold a nice edge, you know, they do the job. Down here I have some of my Japanese planes. In the back I have some Irwin blue chip chisels. And in here I have my Veritas spoke shapes. And I have an assortment of card scrapers and a really nice carbide burnishing rod that I also got from Brian Knoll over at Bearcat Wood for sharpening my card scrapers. Where I store all of my pin kits. One of the other videos that I want to do associated with the shop tour is something that I'm going to go through some of my organizational systems and things like this. This is definitely one of the ones I want to talk about. Back here in the corner, I have one of my chucks here with flat jaws on it. I have a couple of bowls that I need to finish up, and I don't usually keep those mounted on a chuck, but I have them on there so that I can finish up those bowls. And behind it, I have a couple of thickness gauges that I use, calipers that I use on the lathe, and my hand screw clamps, a straight edge. And back here, this is actually really important in the shop. This is my paper cutter, and I use this to cut up the shop towels that I use for applying CA on projects at the lathe. So this is my benchtop drill press that I keep in the turning area of the shop. I use this for drilling operations for things related to turning, so that I don't have to go across the shop to the bigger one. This is the Nova Viking, which is also a DVR product, and this has lots of nice features on it. And it's also, you can adjust your speeds via this knob here, instead of having to change belts and things like that. And it runs super quiet. It's a really nice piece of equipment to have. Now, I also use this, the other thing I use this for temporarily, is I use the table to hold my buffer. So, a lot of people use these Rikon slow speed grinders for sharpening their tools, and I did too at one point, before I upgraded to the Robert Sorby system. I use this for my BO buffing system. I put the mandrel on this side, and then I just load the, comes with 3 wheels, a triple E wheel, a white diamond, and a wax wheel. I just thread those in there, and good to go, and I can buff my projects. So the shots are going to start to get a little tight because working back here in this back area, there's not a lot of room for tripods and things, but up here I have this shelf where I keep a number of bowl blanks, all right, bowl blanks and hollow form blanks and things like that. I keep them up there, up out of the way, so that I can utilize the space that's more readily accessible for things that I use more often. And here on the front is where I keep all of my coal jaws. This is the system from Easywood Tools. These are the extensions for it. This one can hold up to, I want to say, a 20-inch diameter bowl. These are my Nova coal jaws. This one is the 12-inch with the 3-inch extension, so these can do up to 15. The 12-inch ones are installed on that chuck I showed you just a little bit ago, and then these are the two smaller sizes. Down below, I have this rack right here where I store all of my cordless drills. So, like I said, I use the majority of my cordless tools are Bosch products. I bought these at Atlanta show. I've been very, very happy with them. My only complaint, if I had a complaint about Bosch, the only complaint I'd have is that they don't have quite nearly as full a range of tools that are available in a cordless variety as, say, a Milwaukee or even a Rigid. Below the cordless tool storage, I have this cabinet right here. Nothing real fancy going on here. Just a bunch of projects up here that are in progress. So hopefully in the future this counter will be clear. In the back there, I keep a couple of little cups, Sharpies, paint markers, pencils, scratch-alls, can openers, that sort of thing. I keep up there. Down below, I have all kinds of little turning blanks. I got quite a few peppermill blanks down near the bottom down there. And these drawers over here hold things. In this drawer, I have some dividers in the bottom, and it mostly holds parts for making handles and things, ferrules. I got a couple of little threading jigs for wood dowels and things. And these three drawers basically hold accessories, for turning tools. So not terribly organized. Something to work on for the future for sure. This is my primary lathe that I use the majority of the time. As you can see, there's lots of cameras and cables and monitors and things around here. This is where I do my lives, and when I do Zoom demos, I do them right here. And I have several cameras set up for that purpose. While the camera's low, I'm going to talk about some of the things I have going on down here. I am planning on teaching classes here in my shop for probably up to 4 students at a time, and therefore I have a couple of MIDI lathes. These are the Comet 2s that I'm going to be using for that purpose. And this is the best place I've found to store them, right here. I also have 2 Comet DR14s that are currently out on loan. And I'll be designing some flat pack stands that I can quickly erect on the CNC at a later time. So, also down here I have the foot pedal for my carving, for my power carver, which is up above. We'll get to that in a minute. This is my embellishing station. This is where I'm going to be carving and burning on my projects for some of the next things next stages in my wood turning journey. Moving forward. So, interestingly enough, this is not just a table. The surface that this sits on is actually a storage box for my Lee dovetail jig. But before I get to that, so I'll show you some of the things that I have up here. Let me move this out of the way. So, back here in the back, I have a little natural edge piece of wood with my carving burrs for my power carver. I'll move that over. These are extra tips and wire for my Robert Sorby wood burner. This don't belong here, nor does that. Alright, and this is my Robert Sorby Peter Childs wood burning machine. So once I take all that stuff off, take this little mat off to keep my work from getting scratched, I can open this up and I can show you what's in there. This box is where I keep my lay dovetail jig. I have it mounted on a piece of MDF, as you can see, and it slots down in here, which holds it in place nicely, and all of my accessories are in here. I even made a little box. This is the it didn't want to come out of there. Look at that. Oh, there we go. So I made this little box to hold all the bits for my jig. All the bits, and I think one of them uses an odd-sized shank on the bit. So I have this little adapter. But these are all the bits that I use. I've These are not actually the lay jig bits. These are the ones that are sold by MLCS Woodworking, and I went ahead and I marked this block so that I have the model numbers for the equivalent lay bits. So when I go through the instructions, I can cross-reference this with the information in the instructions. And to keep this box together, I drilled a hole in both pieces so that I could put the screwdriver that you use to adjust everything right there and lock all this together. So that's down in there. And of course I have the instruction manuals, and there's a lot of instructions that go with that. So anyway, the shape of this box is such that when I could take this off the wall, it's on a French cleat, and I can set the lay jig up right here and have my work pieces at the right height. Moving further down the wall, I have several systems set up here to store the multitude of products that I use when I'm wood turning. I have thickness gauges and I forget what those things are called. They're not pipe clamps, but hose clamps for segmenting. I have my power carver here. I made a little holder to hold the handle. One thing is that when I go to pick it up, it kind of wobbles around because it's a French cleat. So I may be doing something to address that. Maybe just put a screw in it or something. I got some wood burners here, or not wood burners, burning wire, a couple calipers. I won't go through everything, but these are some of the systems that I've put in place to store these things. This is my chuck rack, chuck jaws for my Nova products, chuck jaws for my Easy Wood product, a bunch of these chuck keys. And hit it. Okay. Up here, I have some Allen keys, T-handled Allen keys for changing out jaws and making adjustments to tools and things. I find it's handy to have those up there. I have a set of calipers, some center finders. This is my Harrison Specialties hollowing jig. It's an articulated arm style. I got mixed feelings about it. I need to spend more time working with it to get a better, I guess to encourage a better experience with it. Down and just past that is my pen press for doing pens. I don't do a lot of those anymore, but when I do, it's nice to have it. This is the Mousecraft version, by far the best one I've tried. I have a little iPod dock here for tunes. All right. Okay. This is my sharpening station. This is where I keep my Robert Sorby Pro Edge. This is what I use to sharpen all of my traditional tools. Now in the cabinet below it, I have a lot of these little boxes that hold different tools that go along with the, accessory tools like breaker bars and Tommy bars and Allen keys and all that are specific to my wood turning tools. And in here I also have some extra heads for my Sorby Turnmasters, and I have all of my carbide inserts in this drawer. It's not terribly organized, but I know where everything is, and that's what matters there. Down here I have some random stuff. I keep a couple of these bottom savers that I made. I have a video on TikTok making one of these. It's just that quick. Down here in the bottom I have a couple of my unhandled tools. A lot of my Robert Sorby tools I get them unhandled so that I can use them in interchangeable handles. It makes it very easy and convenient to travel with them. And down below I have some more spindle stock, longer spindle stock down there. This is my carousel for the primary turning tools that I use. I do like this system, but I really can't advise other people to make one like this, because there have been a few times where having all of the sharp ends of the tools pointing up like this have caused problems for me. But one thing I did do is these really large tools, actually those tools, the handles go through both of these discs, and they set down a little bit lower so that everything's pretty much the same height. The other thing I did to make it a little safer is I made it so that it rotates. So I can rotate it around so that I don't have to reach over. I don't have to reach over the taller tools in the middle. And I try to keep them so that the shorter things are on the outside and the longer things are in the middle. Now below that I have a little cabinet, and I had and I had some really ambitious plans for this, but to be honest with you, I'm finding other ways to store these things. In fact, the only thing that's really left in there is my airbrush compressor, and that's probably going to go at the embellishment station so that it's out, so that I'll be more encouraged to use it. But this is where my pyrography machine, my wood burner, used to live in here as well. Down on this end of the turning wall, I have this little tool cabinet, but I use this to house my some turning accessories. Mostly the finishes that I use regular. I got some waxes here and some Yorkshire grit, and then I have a couple of other accessories in here, like my wobble chuck for doing eccentric turning, off-axis turning. I have a couple of calipers in the door, hanging up on the wall. I got some milli put in there. And then in these drawers, I keep accessories for my Nova Live Center, system in that one. And I keep some parts and pieces for my hollowing system and assorted other things in those drawers. And on the front of this cabinet, which very seldomly gets closed, but I do have more stickers on the front of the cabinet. Basically, I really haven't started organizing this. I do have a couple interesting things up here. This is my McNaughton coring system. I'm in the process of developing some kind of way to hang it on the wall, just on my long list of things to do. Then also I have this little fan right here I bought is really cool. It's rechargeable. I use it to blow away fumes from CA. When I'm doing my CA finish, I can clamp it right on the tool rest and get it right where I need it to get those fumes out of the way. Back here is I don't know what you call this thing. It's like a guillotine machine, and it's got these skewed blades on it, and it's really good for cleaning up miters, especially when you're making picture frames and things like that. And then over here I have my Jet bench mortiser. I don't use this a lot, but when I need it, it really comes in handy. Then I have assorted other things up here. I got some more unfinished projects. This is the cup for my frugal vacuum chuck chucking system. Well, one of them anyway. Back here I have my peak safety respirator. This thing really comes in handy. PPE is so important in the shop, and not breathing in fine dust is super important, and this thing is is critical for my clean air safety in the shop. And this is a bowl that I cored, and it's waiting for me to go ahead and finish shaping this one. This is the other half of my old outfeed table, matching the cabinet on the other side of the shop with the sanders. So down here, clearly I have another pocket full of, I have another compartment full of drops and scraps and material. Down below that, I keep my sandpaper for my Festool sanders down here, and I got a couple other things, a carving vise, a hand saw sharpening vise, and some parts from my Powermatic lathe that I don't use. Over on this side is where I keep all my Festool stuff. I have a track saw down there and my Domino, and then I have two sanders up here. I have a 125 and a 150 in the back. These drawers hold several things. I've recently reorganized some of it, but this one right here holds some of my camera gear, camera mounts, chargers, things like that. Some of these really big drill bits that I bought specifically for wood turning, and I keep them over here because I don't want them to accidentally get messed up over with my general drill bits. And I have a moisture meter here, some camera batteries, things like that. This drawer right here is mostly empty. I was keeping some tools in here, but I've since found a new home for them, so they've gone. And what's left in here are my thread chasing tools, and let's see, what else is in here? Thread chasing. Yeah, basically these are my thread chasing tools and my captive ring tool. These are things that I'm looking for a new home for in the shop, preferably on the wall. This is my sandpaper drawer. Nothing to see here really. And down here in the bottom, I think this is just the catch-all. There's molds for casting, a hot glue gun, a scale, random other things in there. Before I leave this area, I want to talk about these items hanging from the garage door track, I guess. That's where I hang my face shields, my regular face shields without the respirator. And the hose, all those hoses and gauges and things are part of my vacuum chucking system. One more comment about this wall over here. This wall, I actually, it's a temporary wall that I built behind the 2-car garage door because I needed the wall hanging space. And as you can see, this has been instrumental in attempting to organize this space. See, here we are at the table saw. This is a Grizzly 5-horsepower unit with a 50-inch, I think it's 50 or 52-inch Biesmeyer T-fence, T-square fence, and rail system. Underneath it, I have this cabinet. This cabinet has been in many places in the shop over the years, and currently it holds, this top drawer holds my my throat plates, zero clearance inserts, etc., etc. This one holds blades, this one holds tape, and there's assorted other things in here. Up on top of it, this is my wedgie sled for making segmented pieces, and assorted accessories that go to that. On the back side of the table saw is this much smaller and collapsible outfeed table. This was necessary because this space that I'm standing in right now is going to be basically my little classroom. So I need to be able to fold this down and out of the way so that I can set up my 4 little turning stations right here. Definitely going to have to wait till COVID's over because there's not a lot of room for social distancing, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, currently my miter saw is sitting up here because I was using it for another project. I needed to put the Christmas tree away and I had to make a box and blah, blah, blah. There'll be a video. Anyway, so it's sitting up here for now. And basically I made this out of 2x4s and MDF, and I bought some folding leg hardware from Rockler so that I can fold this table down and get it out of the way when I need to use the space for assembly or classes or whatever. Now underneath it is where I store my Festool CT, which is the vacuum system that goes with my Festool tools, and it works super well for keeping the dust down from those, created from those tools. I also have a bin of scraps under here, and back here, which you may or may not be able to see, I have 3 bins with materials for small wood turning projects. Mostly they're small. They're big enough that I can use them for things like jam chucking and accent. So if I want to do like a contrasting piece on a turn piece or something, I go to that bin first. For those of you that have made it this far, thank you for hanging out with me in the shop today. I went around and I kind of feel like I did a more abbreviated tour just because there's so much going on in here. I'm sure I forgot some things. And I definitely didn't get to go into detail on some of the things I'd like to share. So I'm going to break that up and probably do that in a series of shorter videos that are more targeted. One of those would be organizational systems that I employ here in the shop, ones that I think work and ones that don't, and possibly even since I'm obviously going to have to build some more organizational systems, I'm going to I'll try to get some videos out for that too. So here we are heading into 2021. We're actually officially into 2021 now. Hopefully 2021 is going to be a better year for us all. I do have several initiatives for Dreadnought Woodshop that I want to try to do. One of those, I'm doing Zoom presentations for wood turning clubs. aside from that, I'm also going to be um, I say this every year, but I'm going to be trying to be more consistent with my content here on YouTube. So stay tuned. I got some really awesome things coming in the future. Anyway, thank you for joining me in the shop. Happy New Year. I hope you had a happy holidays, and I hope that 2021 brings a happy and prosperous year for you and your loved ones. And remember, get out in your shops, make some stuff, have some fun, dread not and make something. Peace.